Hi there, my name is Emmy and welcome to the second module of Day 3. I'll be talking to you about factorizing quadratic expressions. Please pause this presentation at any time when you need more time to think about something. A quadratic expression is an expression where it takes the standard form of ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, c are constants and a cannot be 0. For example, x squared plus 4x plus 4 is a quadratic expression where 1, 4, 4 corresponds to a, b, c in the standard form. The expression 2n squared minus 3m plus 1 is also a quadratic expression where we use a variable n in place of x. So keep in mind that we are not limited to variable x when it comes to quadratic expressions. Here, minus 3n can be rewritten as plus minus 3n, so minus 3 would correspond to b in the standard form. Now the expression 4x squared minus 9 is also a quadratic, but here b is equal to 0, hence there are only two terms in the expression. Notice that the highest power of x is 2 in all these expressions. Factorizing a quadratic means to find two factors that give you the quadratic when multiplied. Keep in mind that not all quadratics can be factorized. Now, let me give you an example for factorizing a quadratic expression. When you factorize x squared plus 2x plus 1, you get x plus 1 times x plus 1. You can check this by expanding this out. We will show you how to obtain these factorization in the next few slides. In this slide, we will present the steps to factorize a quadratic. These steps are when the quadratic is easily factorized. If you don't quite get these steps, don't worry and continue to see an example in the next slide. You can replay this part later. First, take a note of the product of a and c and b. Take care to get the signs correct in this step. Then write down all the factors of a times c. Out of these factors, find the ones that will add up to b. Let's call these factors r1 and r2. After that, replace bx with r1x plus r2x. Now factorize the first two terms and the last two terms separately. Take out the common factor to finish factorizing. Let me now show you an example by what I mean for those steps. Let's factorize 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. First, take a note of a times c and b. So a times c here is 2 and b is minus 3. Next, we find the factors of 2, which are 2 and 1, and minus 2 and minus 1. So out of these factors, minus 2 and minus 1 add up to minus 3, which is b. So we'll be using minus 2 and minus 1. We then replace minus 3x with minus 2x minus x. Notice how this does not change the expression. Next, we factorize the first two terms and the last two terms separately. Then we take out the common factor x minus 1 to get x minus 1 times 2x minus 1. Recall from Day 3 Module 1, we can check the factorization by expanding the result. When x minus 1 times 2x minus 1 is expanded, we get 2x squared minus 3x plus 1, the original quadratic. Therefore, the factorization is correct. Not quite comfortable yet? We'll have a look at another example. We'll factorize x squared plus 6x plus 9. First, find a times c and b, which are 9 and 6 respectively. The factors of 9 are 1 and 9, minus 1 and minus 9, 3 and 3, minus 3 and minus 3. Now, out of these factors, 3 and 3 adds up to b, therefore we'll be using 3 and 3. Next, replace 6x with 3x plus 3x. and factorize the first two terms and the last two terms separately. Then take out the common factor x plus 3 to get x plus 3 times x plus 3. Simplify this by writing it as x plus 3 squared. Again, check that your factorization is correct by expanding it out. If you get back to the original expression, your factorization is correct. Try some of these questions to factorize a given expression. Press pause and then press play to continue. Here are the answers. Press pause to check your answers and then press play when you're ready to go on. From the previous model, you may have noticed that a plus b times a minus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. Using this, we can use a very quick method to factorize quadratics with certain form. If the quadratic is a square minus a square, then the factorization will be the sum of the square root of the first term and the square root of the second term times the difference of the square root of the first term and the square root of the second term. That is, if we have a squared minus b squared, it is equal to a plus b times a minus b. This method is called the difference of two squares. For example, let's factorize 9x squared minus 16. Notice that 9x squared is the square of 3x, and 16 is the square of 4. Then by using the difference of two squares method, we can quickly do the factorization to get 3x plus 4 times 3x minus 4. Let's have a look at one more example. Try factorizing 4x squared minus 4. Before doing anything, notice there is a common factor of 4 in both terms. So let's take this out and then factorize what is left using the difference of two squares method. By doing so, we get 4 times x plus 1 times x minus 1. Try some of these questions yourself. Press pause and then press play to continue. Here are the answers.